Hello, you've read the title. It's time to get synth as fuck. This video is a subscriber special. A thank you to my Yes Daddy subs. I am your Dom, and this is our aftercare. What the fuck am I talking about? So I said to myself that I'd make a video once I got to about like 10 subscribers. And well, at this point, as of writing this, I'm a little higher than that. But we'll talk about all of that at the end of the video. So if you're a subscriber, stay tuned. If you're not, I mean, hey, the big red button's right there.
Whosoever holds of this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
So we're going to be collecting all the synthesis materials, one material at a time, in whatever order my one brain cell having ADHD fucking brain thinks makes sense. Timestamps down below. Also, I used RegularPat's Heartless Compendium as a reference, just in case I happen to miss anything important. Pat's pretty hilarious, and y'all should check out their channel. Link to the compendium in the description. Also, if I say pre-Riku 2 or post-Riku 2, I'm referring to before or after this fight. Because the enemy spawns change after you do the fight, and some people may tell me to call it like before rescue or after rescue, to which I say,
Bitch, don't tell me what to do!
Now that that's out of the way, hey everyone, I'm Nick, I'm a he/him, and today we're getting every synthesis material in Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix. Lucid Shards are first on our list, and they're dropped by Shadows, who, of the Heartless, are the most basic and not unlike people who drink White Claw. And from these Shadows, you're going to need a minimum of 35 Lucid Shards. A lot, I know, but trust me, you'll need it. So, the best world to find Shadows, pre-Riku 2, is Wonderland, on the floor of the Bazaar Room when the Giga Shadow spawns. And you can tell the Giga Shadow are going to spawn because as soon as you walk in, a bunch of shadows will spawn under the table. If anything else spawns, or nothing, go back to the Queen's Castle and walk in and out. They'll show up eventually, I promise. Also, specifically during pre-Riku 2, you can go to Halloween Town, where 15 shadows spawn in the bridge and 22 spawn in the Manor Ruins, assuming the Chimera doesn't spawn in, which I think can be a viable alternate spot, especially if you're trying to get Lucid Gems from White Knights and Gargoyles or Mystery Goo from the various mushroom enemies at the same time. And for an optimized route, what I'd do is either use the save point in Queen's Castle to save scum, meaning save after every time you fight the 3 waves of shadows, then soft reset, or use these routes to grind out the shadow and their shards. Bear in mind, if you're still pre-Riku 2, shadows spawn just about everywhere, and likely won't be worth your time to grind out, unless you really want to. Whereas post-Riku 2, it will be worth it because they don't really show up anywhere else. Outside of like one room in Halloween Town, Neverland, and End of the World, they'll basically only spawn in the Bazaar Room of Wonderland, where saves coming in the Queen's Castle would still be your best option. Now by contrast to the 35 of the former material, you're only going to need 13 total Spirit Shards, and they're dropped by soldiers and large bodies. Bulgers and Sargelanis. During pre-Riku 2, the soldiers' best room is the Lotus Forest in Wonderland, while large bodies is either 2nd District in Traverse Town or the Stomach in Monstro. Large bodies do still show up in Wonderland, and you can still get a fair amount of kills by doing laps around the world. Now, you can grind out this material while you're also trying to get Lucid Shards from Shadows, which is a pretty smart move, but I think post-Riku 2 is the time to grind soldiers and large bodies for their Spirit Shards, because the best spawn for both is the Grand Hall and Hollow Bastion. And as long as the Stealth Soldier doesn't spawn, 11 soldiers and 5 large bodies will show up. Swiggity swards, I'm coming for your shards. I don't know. And to build on something RegularPat said in his Heartless Compendium, post-Riku 2, Agrabah is another great place to find soldiers for Spirit Shards. So, here are the 2 potential routes. Now, you'll need a minimum of 13 power shards, and they're dropped by Deep Jungle specific Heartlesses, Power Wild, and Bouncy Wild. Pre-Riku 2, they both spawn the most in the treehouse. Also, technically, you can fight an infinite amount of Power Wilds in the climbing trees as long as you don't cast magic on the unbloomed flowers. But shit gets boring fast as fuck. Like, if you were a neurodivergent and you were talking to a neurotypical. Also, I think this is a fairly useful route if you solely focus on Power Wilds and Bouncy Wilds. As for post-Riku 2, Camp is the best for Power Wilds, Treehouse is the best for Bouncy Wilds. And while the route mentioned prior still works, you'd have to ignore Climbing Trees and Bamboo Thicket as viable options. RegularPat mentions that post-Riku 2, Power Wilds can spawn in Monstro along with 2 other enemy sets. He says they spawn best in Chamber 5, and I never got this spawn, so I don't really have a helpful 2 cents on a route there, and with that failure, I will no longer accept being perceived. Thank you. Red Nocturnes. These rootin' tootin' fire shootin' bastards drop blaze shards, of which you're gonna need 12. Pre-Riku 2, the best place is Wonderland on the Bazaar Room floor, but if you see a ton of shadows under the table, then that ain't it, chief. Vamoose to the Queen's Castle and then come back. And they should spawn along with some other less important enemies. This is also the most viable route for Red Nocturnes. As for post-Riku 2, Chamber 3 in Monstro is the best room, and you're going to need to be jumping into the air a lot for extra spawns. It doesn't matter what set of Heartless are there. This is the way. Frost Shards are dropped by these blue bastards, aka Blue Rhapsodies, and honestly, no joke I could come up with was funnier than this.
Blue Rhapsody, which are primarily known for being huge fans of Queen.
It's fucking top tier, dude, oh my god. So you're gonna need a total of 10 Frost Shards. Pre-Riku 2, the second district of Traverse Town is the best room. Feel free to hit up this route. Post-Riku 2, Wonderland spawns the most Blue Rhapsodies of all the worlds. However, Entrance Hall in Hollow Bastion has the most Blue Rhapsodies in a single room. So, pick a route. No, little German boy, don't look at the yellow operas. Nein, that is a Wuten Flaggen Hatten Zappenhassen. Is it clear that I don't understand this meme and yet I still love it? Yellow operas drop Thunder Shards, and you're going to need a minimum of 12. Pre-Riku 2, the best rooms are the second district in Traverse Town, or Chamber 3 in Monstro. And I would personally recommend Monstro, as there's a much more fluid grind route, but I'll show you both routes regardless. And post-Riku 2, the Lotus Forest of Wonderland is where you want to be, which is very useful if you're trying to grab the Frost Shards at this point too. Green Requiem is how, and you're going to need 13 Bright Shards from these. Pre-Riku 2, the best room is Chamber 6 of Monstro. However, there really isn't a good route for grinding them, since in the surrounding rooms, they spawn pretty sparingly. But save scumming in Chamber 4 is a potential option, since you can run in and out of Chamber 4 and 6. As for post-Riku 2, go to the cliff in Deep Jungle on this little cliff face here. Alternatively, about the same amount spawn in the High Tower and Hollow Bastion, so whatever is more convenient for you. Though in Deep Jungle, Cliff is their only spawn, so I'd use that as an add-on to a separate material grind. Just something convenient to grab while you're there, you know? Now for something a little different. Mythril Shards. You're going to need only 12 of these, and you can get these from pot spiders or barrel spiders. However, that's dumb, don't do that. You'll likely already have more than 12 from just opening chests. Here's where all the chests for Mythril Shards are though, if you don't have at least 12. Vibin'? Okay, cool. I just wanna add in here that for Black History Month, which is probably over by the time of posting this video, as Sandy might say, I'm slower than a two-toed sloth in molasses. I'm pretty sure she's said that, actually. Anyway, for Black History Month, I'm going to be linking some creators, some black creators, and then just creators who talk about American history, black history. It's all kind of the same thing, so, you know, after the video, engage, support, do the thing. Mystery Goo, of which you'll need 10, is dropped from White Mushrooms, Black Fungus, Rare Truffle, and Pink Agaricus, the rip-off Mario power-ups of the Kingdom Hearts series. Now, both pre- and post-Riku 2, I recommend going to Halloween Town and running through the rooms of Graveyard, Moonlit Hill, and the Bridge, since each type of mushroom spawns in those rooms. However, it isn't guaranteed they'll spawn, but if you do the loop, you're very likely to find a spawn eventually, and if you do it 3 times with no spawns, head to the save point, save, and soft reset. White mushrooms spawn in the graveyard. Defeating them have a 10% drop rate for Mystery Goo if you use 3 different spells, but a 20% chance if you use the same 3 spells. So it's not great, but it's doable. Black fungus spawn in Moonlit Hill, and depending on how you defeat them, generally with a critical finisher, you could have a 100% chance of getting a Mystery Goo drop. So I would equip Trinity Limit if you have it, and let them all jaunt towards you and then cast it when they're nearby, as that'll net you a really great chance to get it. Alternatively, you can also fight them in the Bazaar in Agrabah, not to be confused with the Bazaar Room in Wonderland, using Aladdin's house as a save point to save scum. Rare truffles spawn in the bridge, and for the initial 10 hits, there's a 10% drop chance of a Mystery Goo. At 50 hits, there's a 40% drop chance, and at the full 100 hits, there's a 100% chance. So if you're going to do it, move one over to this corner here, and you can get them stuck sliding down this wall, which I've found is the easiest way to get the 100 hits. Some people say the ship deck in Neverland is also a good spot. They're wrong, and I won't elaborate. Pink Agaricus only drops Mystery Goo on 100 hits, so I wouldn't bother with trying to get the goo from it. It'd be exceptionally tedious for the vast majority of us. Although if it's convenient, then... Okay, time for some
Uncut Gems.
Right.
Now for the Halloween Town specific enemies, White Knight and Gargoyles drop Lucid Gems, and you'll need 13. Pre-Riku 2, for White Knights, the best room is Moonlit Hill. For Gargoyles, you'll want the Bridge room, but also you can find an infinite amount to fight if you go to the Manor Ruins and fight the Chimera, which is technically correct. This is the route I would take, which is also convenient for Mystery Goo grinding, as mentioned prior. And as for post-Riku 2, for both White Knights and Gargoyles, the best room is the Manor Ruins. Also, fun fact, for the White Knight, make sure that the Chimera does not spawn, although for Gargoyles it doesn't matter. So you can tell if the Chimera has spawned in or not due to a few cues. 1, if you can fucking see it. 2, if you've already gotten the Red Trinity from the Arch, it won't be there anymore, which sounds like a yeah, duh, but if the Chimera doesn't spawn, you'll actually still see it. Because glitches, I guess. You can also tell via the enemies. If only a single White Knight spawns, followed by 3, followed by 5, that's too rhythmic. No thank you. The Chimera will spawn shortly after. As for a route, this could work for you, but if you're grinding post-Riku 2, it's going to be a bit tedious no matter what, so I recommend grinding the Lucid Gems pre-Riku 2. Air Soldiers, that's fucking how. They drop Spirit Gems, of which you'll need a measly 7. The best room pre-Riku 2 is the Plaza in Agrabah, however more do spawn in the 3rd district of Traverse Town. Route-wise, Agrabah has more spawns per capita via 27 to 45 ratio, but I'll put both potential routes here on the screen. And for post-Riku 2, the High Tower takes the cake, both sides of it in Hollow Bastion. Air Soldier in the sky, I can get twice as high. Pirates, Air Pirates, and Battleships all drop Power Gems, and you'll need a minimum of 11. Pre-Riku 2, they only spawn in Neverland. The best rooms are, for Pirates, the Freezer Room, the kinda dank gray misty room. Otherwise, Air Pirates and Battleships spawn solely on the ship deck. Here's 2 fairly decent routes that vary in length, and honestly, I'm not sure which one would be more viable, because While each of the 3 Heartless only have a 4% drop rate for power gems, the battleship has an 8% drop rate via breaking its various pieces. But at the same time, only 1 spawns in the entire world, so do whichever route you think would be better. Post Riku 2, however, you can also find the best rooms in Monstro, although they do still appear in Neverland. Pirates' best room is Chamber 5 in Monstro, or the Captain's Cabin in Neverland. Air Pirates is Chamber 2 of Monstro, or the Ship Deck again in Neverland. For Battleship, the Ship Deck is again the only place to find them. Also, fun fact, in Post Riku 2, Monstro has a revolving door set of enemies, including Deep Jungle-based enemies, Agrabah-based enemies, or Neverland-based enemies. However, leaving Monstro and landing back inside of it can change which set has appeared. With that in mind, here's the 2 potential routes. Bandits and Fat Bandits, the Party City Arabian stereotype version of the soldier and large body. They drop Blaze Gems, and you're going to need 10. The best rooms, pre-Riku 2, are the Desert Cave for both, which is the room outside of the Cave of Wonder's head, but also for Fat Bandits specifically, the Lamp Chamber works really well too. Now there's 2 potential routes you can take, and I'll let you decide between the 2. The first route is faster with less Blaze Gem dropping enemies. It's got 12 bandits and 4 Fat Bandits, while the second route is a little longer but has more enemies on the route. 17 bandits and 6, potentially 7 Fat Bandits. Post Riku 2, the Lamp Chamber is now the best for regular bandits, and Fat Bandits show up pretty consistently in 2s and 3s throughout the entire cave. And like I said prior in the Power Gem section, Post Riku 2, you can also find the bandits and Fat Bandits in Monstro, but not always, so here's some potential routes you can take. Now, for everyone's favorite enemies, and by extension world, I say with deepening sarcasm, Sea Neons and Sheltering Zones, and Atlantica-specific Heartless, best world, don't at me. Drop Frost Gems, and you'll need 10 total. The best rooms for these enemies, pre-Riku 2 wise, are Undersea Valley. In Post-Riku 2, Undersea Garden for natural Sea Neon spawns, and Undersea Valley or Triton's Palace for Sheltering Zones. So if you need them by this point, you can do either of these 2 routes. Also bear in mind, 4 Sea Neons can spawn from a defeated Sheltering Zone, if you don't defeat the latter with magic or a critical hit. Though I recommend defeating the Sheltering Zone so it doesn't split, because its drop rate is 8% to a Sea Neon's 2%. And while you do get the XP for a Sheltering Zone if it splits, I am not sure if you get the item drops. But the fact that they can break into smaller versions of themselves, honestly, is what skewed my numbers. And this is why I used RegularPat's Compendium video to try and double check my work. Feels like I'm back in high school again. Yay! Next in Atlantica, Screwdivers and Aqua Tanks, who drop Thunder Gems. You're going to need 15 total for Synthesis, which is too many, if you ask me. For both pre and post Riku 2, the best room is Undersea Gorge for both enemies. You can also find some Aqua Tanks in the Undersea Valley pre-Riku 2, although post, it'll be Screwdivers instead. But if you're grinding for Frost Gems, you can get 2 birds with 1 stone. Or 2 fish with 1 hook. Is that a thing? Also bear in mind, up to 3 Screwdivers can spawn when an Aqua Tank spawns, which is just more potential for Thunder Gem drops. Let's get out of Atlantica forever. It definitely won't come up again, I promise it definitely won't. Definitely. Last on our gem list, Bright Gems, of which we'll need 8, are dropped by Search Ghost. Pre-Riku 2, you'll want to go to Monstro, go in his throat, gross, or Chamber 3. But RegularPat also brings up a really good point that the sunken ship in Atlantica has more spawns of Search Ghost than any other room. So it's up to you where you want to go, but I'll put up both optimized routes via Monstro and Atlantica. As for post-Riku 2, 2nd District of Traverse Town, including the rooftop spawns, is by far the best place. Quick change up. You're going to need 12 Mythrils in total. You can get these from chests no problem. You can also eventually synthesize them, but like their shard variant, you'll likely have way more than enough just via chests. Speaking of, woo, halfway there. Let me just take a quick break. Look at these memes I found. Okay, so the stones. There's really no best room for these enemies, whether it be pre or post Riku 2, since they only spawn in one, sometimes two, specific rooms. Now sometimes you may need to run in and out of the said room, maybe even save scum, if they just aren't showing up. Also, be sure everyone in your party has Lucky Strike on, or these enemies will make your life just like Delta Airlines.
Life is a fucking nightmare.
Also, this video isn't about the how, so if you want to know how to beat these specific enemies, outside of just like the general tips I'm going to give you, I only have this video for now. Feel free to leave me a comment if you'd like me to make a how to beat the Final Mix exclusive enemies whom drop the stones. Fury Stones are dropped by Giga Shadows. You'll need a total of 5, which, if you're lucky, only requires 2 to 3 fights worth. Giga Shadow spawns in Wonderland, specifically on the floor of the Bazaar Room, and you'll know because 10 shadows will spawn under the table, and then you'll have to fight 3 waves of 10 shadows. And then 7 Giga Shadows will spawn, and you'll know it's them because they're big motherfuckers. Little tip, keep Aurora/Ga on when they spawn, and spam Strike Raid. Easy baby game for babies. So this is the second worst enemy in my opinion, Sniper Wild. It spawns in the 2nd district of Traverse Town and drops Power Stones. You'll need 5. Now, you'll know if the Sniper Wild is spawned because if you're coming from any door, no other enemies will spawn in the room. And if you're at certain angles, you'll just be able to fucking see it, like Jeepers Creepers that shit and just use your fucking peepers. My tip, stop is your best friend, and you have a brief window between reset phases to run away and use an item. Good luck. Blech. Worst one, right here, Chimera. It spawns in the Manor Ruins in Halloween Town, and you'll need a total of 7 Blazing Stones from this absolute degenerate. You'll know if the Chimera is going to spawn, because in the ruins, you first fight 1 White Knight, then 3, then 5, then the Chimera will smash down. Now bear in mind, the reason this enemy is the worst is because defeating the Chimera only nets you a 35% drop of a Blazing Stone, whereas hitting the little heads back at it 3 times nets no stone, 6 times nets a 20% to get a stone, and 9 times nets a 40%. This enemy flares up my millennial urge to Sudoku myself. My tip, let it kill Donald and Goofy so that during the phase, where there's a red, yellow, and green ball, you can knock those balls back at its head without worry of it being messed up by your so-called friends. Froststone by far is the easiest. I will actually just tell you how to win because it really is that easy. Go to the stomach in Monstro, and the Grand Ghost should appear. It drops Frost Stones, and you'll need a total of 7 of those. Hit it with a Mega Elixir. Once you do that, the Grand Ghost will clock out of its proverbial job of existing in this mortal coil. Fucking same, bro. And for using a Mega Elixir, you'll definitely get 2 Frost Stones, with a 20% chance to get a 3rd. The Black Ballad Floatin' Purple Multiplying Bastard is not unlike its weaker magical kin. It's a bastard. It spawns in the Bamboo Thicket of Deep Jungle, and you're going to need to get a minimum of 5 Lightning Stones, and your stats are irrelevant here. Because the Black Ballad just wants to play the rigged, which card is your card street game, but with no cards and instead opting to use its body because masochism, I guess. My tip, every hit has a 10% chance to drop a stone, which is lower than you think it is. And also, Pause Buffer is your best friend, and will make this much easier than trying to use your naked eye. Also, why is your eye naked, you weirdo? Jet Balloon, motherfucking Jet Balloon. It spawns over the ship deck in Neverland, and drops Dazzling Stones, and you're gonna need 6 of those. I don't know if the way this thing moves was meant to be an apt representation of social anxiety, or if this very accurately sized anglerfish just has it too. My tip, cast Stop and only do 2 air hits. Repeat that just over and over. Also, defeat the fucking guy, the jet balloon, over the boat, not over the water, or you could lose the stones. At the palace gates in Agrabah, you'll find 12 pots on the ground, all lined up in 3 rows of 4. If you don't, then you gotta leave and try again. Now, once that does show up, you can push 11 of those pots, but there's one that you can't push. That one's the Pot Scorpion. Now you're gonna wanna break all other 11 pots, and that last 11th one that you hit has a possibility of dropping a Mythril Stone, which is pretty sick, and of the Mythril Stones you're going to need 8 at minimum. Now, hit the 12th and last pot, and you can start the encounter. My tip is to attack it to get its attention, then it'll do a 2-swipe and a charge, and that's a trick. Don't block the 2-swipe, block after with a 2-swipe. And then, Later on, it'll dip its tail inside itself, which is a weird sentence. You're going to want to block immediately when it faces you. Or as RegularPat says, I guess you can just negate the entire fight using Aroga. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, yeah, cool. So, this enemy spawns both pre and post Riku 2, but there's more spawn locations post Riku 2, so that's when I recommend fighting it. Stealth Soldier, the Kingdom Hearts equivalent of the Metal Gear's Solid Snake. Probably. I don't know. Honestly, I only played half of Metal Gear 2. The Stealth Soldier spawns in the Entrance Hall and Grand Hall in Hollow Bastion, and it drops energy stones, of which you'll need 6. So know if it's going to spawn. Again, only giving post Riku 2 information. Certain enemies will spawn before it. Like in the Entrance Hall, you'll see 2 wizards and 1 large body in front of the fountain. If you see 2 wizards and 2 large bodies, leave and try again. Now, after defeating the 2 wizards and 1 large body, the Stealth Soldier will spawn. Also, more Stealth Soldiers will spawn with the enemies that appear behind the fountain, and even more will spawn if you take the lightning platforms to the upper level. As for the Grand Hall, you'll know they'll spawn because when you're in between the Princess Pods, after defeating the first wave of enemies, the second wave will spawn with 2 large bodies and the Stealth Soldier. If you get regular soldiers, you didn't get the spawn, so just leave and then try again. And also, there's Stealth Soldiers that will spawn in the Riku Arena up the stairs. You know, where he bullied us when we were like 6. Did you know this game originally came out in 2001? Like, how old do you feel right now? Now bear in mind, the extra spawns only trigger if the first ones did. So, for instance, if you're in the Entrance Hall and no Stealth Soldier spawned in front of the fountain, and you're hoping one will spawn behind the fountain...
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Neo Shadows, the CrossFit cousin of the Shadow Heartless, spawn in Linked Worlds, the green floor room outside the final rest and end of the world, and it drops our last stone, and you're going to need 4 of them total. My only tip for this enemy is when you get to the end, you can either hit the surrounding Neo Shadows, hit them once, to get rid of them so that it doesn't backtrack you, or pull a pro gamer move and just try to defeat the middle Neo Shadow as fast as possible. So, Dark Matter doesn't drop from any enemy. It's a chest and synthesis specific item. You'll need a total of 14, and you can only collect 11 outside of synthesis, meaning you'll have to make 3 of them, which is also why you need the 35 Lucid Shards we talked about earlier. So, here's where those chests are. And here's the materials you'll need to make the remaining 3. Another material you can't get from enemies is Orichalcums. Hey, I finally said it right! Let me just give myself a little gold star. Okay. You'll need 19 Orichalcums, which you can get all 19 from chests / like examining certain things. But if you miss any, you can also buy them for 5,000 money from Huey, Dewey, and Louie in Traverse Town Item Shop. Here's the chest locations. Okay, getting into endgame stuff now. The Wilbur here drops power crystals, of which you'll need a mere 3. Pre-Riku 2, the best room is the entrance hall in Hollow Bastion, so here's a decent route to grind them, even though I honestly don't recommend doing this pre-Riku 2. As for post-Riku 2, the best room is in the 2nd district in Traverse Town, which includes the rooftops. Wizards, another floating bastard. But it looks like Vivi from Final Fantasy IX if Vivi got a legiotomy. I don't know medical terms. Wizards drop shiny crystals, and you'll need a total of 3. Pre-Riku 2, the best room is the entrance hall and high tower in Hollow Bastion. Though entrance hall is much easier to maneuver, so I would recommend this route. Though again, I don't recommend grinding any crystal dropping enemy during the pre-Riku time frame, because just so many show up post-Riku 2. Now, for actual post-Riku 2, the best room is the Bamboo Thicket in Deep Jungle, but the best world is Hollow Bastion, and the best room in that world is the Grand Hall. but only if Stealth Soldier does not spawn, so here's both routes though. Fun fact, you can also get Wizard's Relic from the Wizards, which is like the second best weapon for Donald. It's just pretty fucking sick, dude. Undertale called. They want their dog back. Defenders drop Bright Crystals, and you're going to need a total of 4. Pre-Riku 2, there are several rooms in Hollow Bastion where they spawn. Usually only 1 or 2 spawn though. Castle Gates, Entrance Hall, Waterway, High Tower, and the lift stop before Castle Chapel. So the route would be just to go up the castle. As for Post-Riku 2, 5 to 6 spawn in the rooms, Entrance Hall, High Tower, and Grand Hall. So my route would be to just save scum in either the library or the Castle Chapel. And fun fact, it can also drop the Defender Shield for Goofy, which as the kids say is, bussin'. Dark Balls, dang old floaty boys, drop Lucid Crystals, and you'll need 9, which is harder than it sounds because the drop rate is... So pre-Riku 2, the best rooms are Entrance Hall and High Tower in Hollow Bastion, but again, don't recommend it. Post-Riku 2, Undersea Valley in Atlantica is by far the best room, and god damn it, I don't want to go back there. But damn, it has 88 spawns in Atlantica. That's the most of any enemy in any world. On the other hand, Chamber 3 in Monstro is an option. Also Traverse Town, I guess. Here's the routes. Angel Stars and Invisibles drop Gales. You'll need 6 in total, and you can only get them post-Riku 2. And if you have Lucky Strike on every character, I'm almost 100% sure you'll get the 6 you need on your first trip through End of the World. But if not, you can fight them in Linked Worlds, and you can save scum at the final rest. Now for our last enemy, Pink Agaricus, which drops Serenity Power, and we'll need a total of 7. The best place to fight it is the Treehouse in Deep Jungle. Also, it isn't necessary to reach 100 hits, as 40, 50, and 60 hits each have a 10% drop rates of Serenity Power, 70, 80, and 90 hits have a 20%, and 100 hits is the only one with a 100% drop chance. Now, as a side note, for the easiest time, you'll want to have all MP upgrades you can get by leveling. So I think, depending on your initial weapon choice at the beginning of the game, 60 is the lowest level. But I like to fight these dudes at level 100 anyway, because you'll have all the abilities by that point, you know? Also, tip-wise, Aurora/Ga does add hits. Donald and Goofy, however, remove hits, and Ragnarok is your best friend. I do have an in-depth how-to in the video that I had linked prior, but let me know if you want me to make like a 100-hit specific video, or I don't know, whatever. Holy shit, we did it. That's the video. Now, to my subscribers, I want to talk to y'all. Because, you know, honestly... Okay. You know how people make the 10, 100, 420, whatever your subscriber count videos are? I had planned on making it for 10 subs, but 10 turned into 20, turned into 40, turned into... Yeah, you get the idea. The reason, though, that I wanted to do it at 10 subscribers is because, like, if even just 10 people, right, walked up to me in the street and were like they wanted to hear me talk about Kingdom Hearts, or wanted to talk to me about Kingdom Hearts, like, I would be ecstatic, like, genuinely and happily overwhelmed. I would love to talk about Kingdom Hearts with just one person, let alone 10, like... And, like, I'm so elated and appreciative that people want to talk to me about this game, or rather hear me talk about this game, like, regularly, no less. And I've tried to do YouTube before, and whether just because of, like, depression or life, like, I just never even got this far. And I really like to think it's because of all the positive feedback I've gotten from just, like, people commenting, liking, subscribing, like, it really means so much to me. And I don't really have the vocabulary to just be able to just express just how deeply grateful I am to every single person who's interacting with my stuff, and thank you. But that's all from me. I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye!